G'day guys, I'm Andrew and this is Carolyn, my wife. We just thought we'd give you an update on how we went over New Year. We had a little bit of drama when we took the bus away, so we thought we'd share how it went and we'd also share what we're going to have to change in the bus. There's a few things that I thought would work, but as we went away for a couple of weeks and started to use them, they didn't. So I'm going to let Carolyn go through and explain how we went, and then I'll come back and talk to you about what we're going to change.
So we're going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to go into detail because Andrew says he loves that. Anyway, I think
Get ready, go and get a cup of coffee.
I think it's in the detail that you find out exactly what happened. So after Christmas, we needed Andrew needed a few more days to finish stuff off the bus, the shower, so we could use it. So we didn't actually get away until the 31st, New Year's Eve, but we didn't have any actual party plans, so that was fine. We left it, I think it was 5 to 5, and we thought we'll go then.
That's in the morning?
Yes, as I was going to explain. We wanted to go early because the bus doesn't have any air conditioning in the cab area, so it gets very hot. So we thought we leave early, then that's good. So we drove up to close to Toowoomba, and that's where we're going to stay for about 5 nights. We wanted to test, as Andrew said, we wanted to test everything out. We had to go over to the property. Andrew had to meet the guy over there, so I stayed with the bus, had air conditioning. It's great. The trip up, actually, we had a little bit of an issue because we got out to get a coffee, and I said to Andrew, and I don't know what we were doing. He was driving, and I
went and got some air and some diesel.
Well, I don't know. And so I was just bringing him his coffee, and so he was going to drive over to a spot so we could test some other things. So I sort of followed. Anyway, as he's driving forward, the reversing sound come on. I'm thinking that's unusual. That sound, only comes on when you're going backwards, not forwards. Anyway, Andrew thought I didn't know what I was talking about because, I don't know anything about bus things or mechanical things or whatever. So we got out, that was all right, got in, drove up, and we got about halfway, I think, and Andrew goes, I think we're losing a bit of power. Not again, the same issue we've had the whole time we've had the bus. So he goes, oh, we'll just pull over and I'll have a look, and I'm thinking, let's go home because I don't want any dramas and we can get it fixed. It was booked into the mechanic. Andrew goes, no, so got out, you did hear that sound.
Yeah, I heard the sound.
So, I wasn't making things up or hallucinating. So we got in and he drove it a bit and he said, no, it'll be all right, we'll get there. I said, yes, but we'll get back. Yep, we'll be all good. Okay. So we drive, we get up there. As I said, I stayed in the bus where he talked to the guy about what needed to be done on the land, and the air conditioning was great. It was lovely and cool, fantastic. So we had a couple of nights we had to wait around because the guy needed to come back and do his thing. First morning we thought we'd test the shower. I don't know why I thought I'd let Andrew go first. He built it, let him do that. So he has the first shower. I said, how was it? Great, fantastic. I said, great. So I go to get in the shower, got all my hair, because I washed my hair, got all my hair all soapy, and then the water stopped. What's going on? Anyway, Andrew says, I'll go out and check. So he goes out and check, and I'm standing naked, soapy hair, waiting. Anyway, we're testing, I don't know, I reckon it was about half an hour now. He tested all the filter thingies and...
Because it's a recirculating shower, it's got to go through the filters and the UV filter. So basically, what was happening is it was going through all the filters, and one of the filters was stopping it, and it was the last one that it had to go through which was stopping it, was the 0.5 micron filter. So after figuring that out, I took that filter out and just left it out without the filter in it, and then it worked fine.
But by this stage I had already gotten dressed because I had already been waiting an hour for the water to come back on, testing it, dribble. Anyway, that was fine, no problem. We're out in the country, doesn't really matter. And then what was the next thing that happened was, the guy was going to come out on that last day to check it. We were going to go out and check, but before we went out, Andrew got up first, which is unusual because I'm usually always up first, and I heard something. I said, what's going on? And he goes, we've got no battery. I said, what do you mean? No
power.
power. I said, what do you mean no power? I mean, we were sticking hot. We had so much sun coming in, although every time we checked the monitor thing, it didn't seem to be getting the power you would think would full sun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got up, had a look, he goes, the fridge light's off, and that's a worry. The fridge is full of 3 weeks of groceries, because we were going 3 weeks. So the freezer was full, the fridge was full, and this is the full residential fridge, so I had a lot of food in it. Anyway, we didn't open it anymore, and Andrew's fiddling around, he rang or texted the guy, the auto electrician, to see what the thing is. He did all those things, no, nothing at work, great. So now we've got no power, a fridge full of no frozen food and cold food, and we're a bit sort of concerned what's going to happen with that. Anyway, Andrew went along, met the guy, had all the clearing and stuff, and I was sitting in the bus waiting for all this to happen with no air conditioning. It was very hot, but it was all right. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't, parked in the shade.
And I'm going to link a little section down, you'll see it now, that Carolyn did while she was sitting in the bus. So you'll see that, Meryl.
Can't remember it, but anyway. Well, do I look hot? That would be because I am. It's, 30 degrees probably. It's in the morning. The inverter's not working at all, so we've got no power, so no air conditioning. The greater things happening on the land. I'm sitting here waiting. I don't know how long that's going to be. I'm in the bus, trying to cool down. Whew. I guess I can just read my book. These things that happen, hey? So then he came over and it was all, the land thing was all done. So we were going to go then drive to Harvey Bay. Started to drive and Andrew goes, oh, we've got no power at all. And we'd actually moved the bus where we were parked up in near Toowoomba. So we didn't understand why there was any issue because it seemed to be going fine. But anyway, he goes, oh, it's not much power, but let's go into, was that what your first thought, or was it Toowoomba? Anyway, we drove along, it got worse. We were going along and what happened, 10 Ks?
About 10 Ks out there, we pulled over because it was going really slow and I wanted to check to make sure there was no water issues or heat issues because it was a stinking hot day. Anyway, we let it cool down, we had some lunch and then we decided to drive in. And
you rang a mechanic?
And I ran the mechanic so we could take it around there and he could have a look.
He was really, really busy, but he said, look, I'll have a look at it. He had a look at it, rang the mechanic that we've been taking it to. No, couldn't fix it. All right, well, let's see if we can get to Toowoomba because there was a big truck bus place there that Andrew said he wanted to go to. So off we went again.
Before that happened, we stopped because it was stinking hot and we had no air conditioning, so we thought we'd stop.
Oh, yes.
And we'd wait till later on in the night and we'd drive home was actually what we were going to do.
Yeah, and we went to empty the tank.
And then, so while we were there, we went to empty the black tank. And
it wouldn't work.
So I got out to put all the hoses in and connect it all and press the button and nothing happened with the macerator pump to pump it out.
And it was on a separate battery thing, so it didn't rely on the other because we knew the other power was out. This had its own little battery.
Yeah, the only thing that hasn't been connected to the main power supply was the pump for the pumping of the black water and the grey water. So I was just using a little portable 12-volt battery.
Which we've used every other trip with no issues and worked beautifully.
Anyway, so that wouldn't work. So I couldn't get it to dump. I tried everything, tried all sorts of things and nothing worked. So I thought it was getting hot and we just wanted to sit under the shade. So we pulled up under the shade and just got the chairs out and we were going to sit down.
Under the trees, just relax and try and cool off ourselves. And then, of course, don't want to travel in the bus when it's that hot because we're still trying to get to Toowoomba. So we sat there and I thought, I've got a book. I'm going to read my book on my phone. And Andrew's doing whatever he is on his phone. Then he takes off, goes, no, I don't know what's going on. Then he goes, I've got the power working. I said, what do you mean you got the power working? He goes, I reset it. It's the computer, because he used to do IT. Why not? Okay, great, quick, get in and put the air conditioning on.
So what I did, basically, I turned off the solar coming in, I turned off the inverter, and I also turned off the batteries. gave it a few minutes to reset, turned it all back on. Once I turned it all back on, everything came back up and ran. So just a tip, it might be only my system that does it, but every now and then, because it's a computer system, you should reset your computer anyway. So from now on, I'm going to reset it every month, just for the heck of it, just in case something like this happens again. But once I reset it, the air conditioning worked, everything was working with the electrical side of it.
And then, do we have a nap?
We had yeah, we did, because it was stinking hot and there was a storm coming, so we thought we'll turn the air conditioning up. On. We close everything up, because once you put the block out shutters up and the air conditioner on, it works a treat. It's beautiful and cold. So we had a sleep and we woke up about.
What was it?
About 3:30, 4?
Something like that. We thought we'd go to try to get to Toowoomba to fix the bus problem.
No, we were going to go home.
Were we?
Yeah, we were going to try and get home.
That's right. Andrew goes, it's going slow. We'll go late at night. Not many people on the road. It was it was the Wednesday night. So still a work day. So just after New Year's. So it was a work day. So we thought, well, if we go later, then nobody will be on the road. So off we took. You did try to empty the tank again. Now this is important, because we did really try to empty the tank again, and with nothing worked.
So we started to head towards. Well, we started to go home, and we'll see how we go. Anyway, we got to the first major hill, and
I don't even think the hill was that big.
It wasn't that big, and it just wouldn't go. We were lucky to get up the hill. It was going about 2 kilometres an hour. It was hardly getting up there. All the trucks and cars were flying past.
The worst it's ever been.
Because we held them up so much. Anyway, I said, no, we've got to pull over. So we pulled over to the nearest town. And we pulled over and we called RACQ.
And so this was about 5 o'clock or something. He came out, had a look, and said, well, I can't really do anything until I put it on my computer at the workshop. So bring it around tomorrow morning. Okay, let's try and find somewhere to park. And we couldn't drive very far. Anyway, there was a place right around the corner from where we parked, which was great. Stayed there overnight. That all worked fine, no problem. We still had the power. All our food was okay. Just put that out there as well. That was all good. So that was great. And the next morning we got up. We went there early to wait for him to open. He got delayed because he works for RACQ, so we had a call out. Came in. We're standing around, he's doing his thing, and then we said, well, why don't we go up and have a coffee and give you time to sort of look at it. So we went up, had our coffee, made all these great plans about what we were going to do over the next couple of weeks. Walked back up to the motor mechanic. I can't fix it. What else is new? Paid him some money though, as we pay them all.
If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know we've had this issue ongoing for probably a year and a half, and we think we get it fixed and it doesn't get fixed, and it happens again. Anyway, the first RACQ bloke that came out,
the very first time
it happened, he suggested it was something, and in the end that's what it turned out to be, which we'll go through once we get to that point. Anyway, so we pulled over at night, we went in, and once he said he couldn't fix it, we thought, well, let's go to Toowoomba, and there's a Daimler truck and bus Mitsubishi place in there. We'll go there. We'll try and get in there and see if we can get it. Bus just wasn't going. There was a Mitsubishi place in the place we were staying, and we went down to there, but they didn't do truck or bus, so they couldn't help us. So we pulled over to the side
of the road. And we didn't intend to stay there for a long time. It was just out of his driveway. And we just thought, well, we'll call the RACQ again, tell them what's going on, because we're not going to be able to drive it. I mean, that's only doing a K an hour or whatever, maybe 5, I don't know. So we thought we'll call them again, and we're probably going to have to do the tow thing or whatever, because we've got the ultimate RACQ plan,
now,
which we're
just
really
on
proud
that,
of.
It's worth getting this RAC RV Ultimate package. I think it's about 400 for the year, but we've made it back in just that issue that we've had over the New Year, so it's worth getting.
So they said, yes, we can tow it. You've got, I think, $3,000 worth of towing. What does that mean? We have no clue. But we hoped it'd get us to Toowoomba. We could have maybe brought it back home, but we still had to go to a mechanic anyway. So Andrew rang. They said, where do you want? We didn't know. Andrew said, I'm going to ring a place in Toowoomba. So he rang them. And they said, yep, but we can't see it until the 12th, which is a week away, because this is now the Thursday, the 5th. So we went, it doesn't matter, we'll just do whatever, we want to get it there, we need it to be fixed. So we did that. So they said they would get somebody out to tow us. Great, okay, let's sit. Oh, then they rang us back, somebody rang us back, was the towing people, and said, it can't take 2 people in the tow truck. And we've been towed before and we've been gone together. It can only take 1. All right. So we'll have to get a taxi or something to get us from, one of us from here to. Because the policy's only in Andrew's name, I'm not allowed to do anything. So, because we were going to pick up a hire car. That was the other thing in Toowoomba. And Andrew was going to go and get that. So I couldn't do that, so I had to wait with the towie, and I went, great, what am I going to say? I hope he doesn't ask me anything about the bus, because I've got no clue. Anyway, Andrew went off in the taxi.
Oh, and by this time I'd been rung up by the tow truck company, and they couldn't, the tow truck they were going to send out, they couldn't, so they're sending another one out, which is a bigger one, and that's when Carolyn had to talk to him, but I was on the way in to get the car, and they came. And
so there's this huge big tow truck, and I went, great, that's got to take the bus. Except he comes over and he says to me, no, can't take your bus. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I have to, I don't know how to explain it. He lifts it up. So the bottom of the bus would drag on the ground. Well, the bottom of the bus nearly already drags on the ground. I said, well, that isn't going to work. Anyway, I had a look around, he checked everything. No, this isn't going to work. So he goes, I'll have to ring my boss. I told him it wouldn't work, blah, blah, blah. I'll ring him and see what else can do. Okay, so he goes and does that, goes back to his truck. I'm just sitting there reading a book, not much else you can do. Waiting. Then I rang Andrew, let him know what's going on. He's still on his way to pick up the car.
We forgot one important detail while this was happening. During that morning, Carolyn had to go to the toilet.
No, it was you!
It was me. I had to go to the toilet. Anyway, because we were on a slight hill and we hadn't emptied the black tank, the toilet was chockers. I mean, it was halfway up the bowl. And of course I couldn't empty it. There was no way to get rid of it. And here we are going to be towed on a truck to a Mitsubishi truck and bus repairer. For a week, and we've got a full black tank and we've got no way to empty it. So what I'll do is, Carolyn took a video of me. I'm going to put it in here now so you can have a look at that. It's a little bit funny, but anyway, we had issues with the black tank. So watch this part of the video and then we'll come back. Okay guys, you get the good and the bad on this channel. So we got to where we could dump the tank, the Blackwater tank. Went to go and dump it, and for some reason it just wouldn't dump. I've got a portable battery. The battery was charged. I've just had that pump replaced because it was the other one was faulty, and I tested this one before we went away and it worked fine. So I'm not sure whether it's the actual pump or whether it was the battery that was causing the issue. So we couldn't dump that, and it's going to get towed. It's going to sit at the place to get fixed. So what I've done is I've taped up the toilet seat with a garbage bag and put tape all over it to hold it till we can get it to a dump point to dump the tank. It's full. I mean, it's halfway full here, and that's because we're on an angle, and that's why we know it's full. So just an issue with that. We can't drive the bus. Carolyn's down there very happy because this is Carolyn's holiday time. So basically it's a nightmare, and we're getting it towed to Daimler. We're going to get Mitsubishi to work on it so it's right and gets fixed properly. the toilet's a bit of an issue. I don't know how we're gonna dump it before we get it to Daimler to fix it. So we just have to pray that my tape job will keep it nice and secure, and see how we go. So yes, it's been a frustrating 3 days, and we're still stuck on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck to come and get us. Anyway, I'll let you know what happens when we get back home, and we'll go from there. Oh guys, I hope you had a good New Year's. So anyway, talk to you later.
So then we went, I was sitting there waiting. The guy came over and he goes, I've got some good news and bad news, I think. And I said, give me the bad news first. He goes, I definitely can't tow the truck. He said, but the good news is we can get another tow truck, but it may not be here till tomorrow. Can you spend another night here? And I went, I don't know, I guess so. What choice am I going to have? Anyway, he said, I'll see what I can do. He was a really nice guy. I mean, he must have spent, going back and forth talking to me and ringing his boss or whatever, an hour or so. Finally come back over and he goes, it's all right, we're getting the other tow truck. He's got to come from Brisbane, but he'll be here this afternoon. And I thought, well, that's great, except what time does the truck place? Because, we started this at 7:45 in the morning at the other guy's mechanic place.
Now 1:30.
Now 1:30 or so, and it's going to take a couple of hours to come from Brisbane. So Andrew rang the truck place and they said they're open. She's there until 5:30, the girl we'd been talking to. She said the mechanics are there until 8, so the gates don't close till then. We thought, well, that's good. So he comes back with the hire car.
Yeah.
And we're right, now we're going to have to unpack that fridge and freezer full of food because you can't leave that. And what if the power goes off there? We didn't want that, along with a full pooper. So Andrew went up and got a big tub. We didn't want to pay for another rescue that we don't need, and filled that with ice. So I emptied the fridge, freezer, put all of that in there. We had to empty everything we could find because we had to take this back home because we were coming back home for a week because that's when we had to wait for the bus. No point staying up in a hotel doing nothing. So we thought we might as well just drive back home. So we emptied all of that. Andrew goes, do you have any cling wrap? I said, yeah, what for? He goes, put over the toilet. I said, what for? To stop the pooper coming out. I said, the cling wrap isn't going to help it. I said, how about you use a garbage bag? So he had to get some duct tape, garbage bag, wrapped it all up, which I think you've just seen in the video.
You just seen the video.
So we did all of that. It looked like it was going to go. I mean, if it was going to slosh to the top, hopefully it didn't come out and it'd be okay. And it wouldn't smell. We're really worried about these guys having to work on it and it was going to smell or come out.
And it been stinking hot, and it was due to be stinking hot for the next week. So you can just imagine it.
Anyway, it was okay at this point. There was no smell. Nothing had come out. We were just worried about what was going to happen. So then we got in the car and I said to Andrew, let's just drive. I want to get out. I don't want to watch the bus. I just felt like it was broken. It's our baby. We've been working on it for so long. And I was just almost in tears. I was thinking, I don't know what's going on. So we drove, and then Andrew goes, I want to see it get to the truck place. So we drove into Toowoomba, into the truck place, and sat and waited. And then she came and she was already on the thing. And it was such a relief, I think, to see her and know she was going to get looked after. And I did shed a few tears.
Just a few. So anyway, we got that and we had the hire car. We packed up everything that we needed. So we went home and then we had to wait. I gave them a ring the next day to find out what was going on. And they said, look, we're actually going to have a look at it today to find out what's wrong with it. We'll give you a ring back this afternoon, which they did. They said, look, it looks like it is the throttle positioning sensor. And this is what the first RACQ guy said right back at the start when we first had the issue. And I told all the mechanics this is what had happened and this is what they said it was, but whether they checked it, I don't know.
I think the other thing though is they're diesel mechanics, not bus, and I think that had a big
It could have done, yeah.
thing to do with it, but we don't know.
Anyway, and they said, look, we can get the part. They said, we've got another bus here, the same model as yours. We're going to take that out and just double check to make sure that's right. We'll give you a ring tomorrow. And they did, and they said they could get the part in. the part was going to be $700, and I thought.
But prior to that, when we were told, we did ask about that thing right in the beginning, and someone said because it's a turbo thing, something about $7,000. I don't have that. As it was, we, done these last few things to get it ready to go, and it's still not finished. And I'm thinking I just can't afford anymore. Like, we were really stressing that it was going to cost a lot of money.
Because one of the mechanics suggested it may have been the turbo or something to do with the turbo actuator. So we were expecting a lot of money. So Carolyn was stressing about that. Anyway,
and it was $700 for that part.
And then
but labour's always more.
Carolyn was still stressing about the labour.
I sort of calculate what I thought it might be.
Anyway, so they rang us back and said the part will be here.
They had to order it.
A couple
this
of days.
must Monday. They rang us back on Monday and said the part should be here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we had to have the hire car back by Friday.
So anyway, cut a long story short, they rang us up on the Thursday and said the part had arrived. They said it'll be ready to pick up tomorrow. So, which was good.
Yeah, we left really
and
early.
They told us
on
the price. Friday. And Carolyn was quite happy with
because it was close to what I worked it out to be.
So we got that, and we drove back the next day. The
pooper's still full. Remember that?
Yeah, the pooper's still full. So anyway, we got back and we unloaded the car into the bus.
Well, it's been just over a week, and we're now coming to pick up our RV. And she's over there. We can't really see her because all those trucks are hiding her.
Alright, we're back at the bus. We've got it. We've got to unload the stuff that's in this car now and put it back into the bus. So that's what we're going to do right now. And I had to go back and take the car back to the hire place. The problem is I couldn't get another taxi. The RACQ, we had used the RACQ allotted $150 for taxis, so we had to pay for it, which in the long run it was alright, it was like $16 back, so that was fine. So we got the bus, and the first thing we had to do was empty the poop. Now during the week I'd bought another macerator pump, because I thought it was the pump that was the problem, even though that was a new pump that we got not just the week before. So anyway, we drove out to a place called Oakey. So I'm pulling the other pump apart, and because I couldn't flush it or anything, as I pulled the pump down, everything came out, or what was left in the pump. Missed my head by about this much on the side of the road, and it was rank. And I don't usually gag or anything, but
I'm gagging just thinking about it, and I didn't even see it all.
I actually did gag a bit, it was pretty gross. Anyway, so I changed the pump over, connected everything back up, and I said, Beauty, we should be able to do it. Press the button, and nothing. Nothing at all. And I'm thinking, oh, great. And we'd actually, I said, well, let's now take the lead from the battery and hook it up into the real battery system. So we did all that. I had to spend time doing connections and all that sort of stuff. Got that up. I thought I'll test the old pump while it's out, and click the button, and it worked. So I then had to replace the new pump that I put the old pump back in, got it all connected, and the pump worked.
And all this could have been avoided if we'd have known it was that. We could have done that way back.
So we could have dumped it the first time that we had the issue if I'd have known that it was actually the portable battery.
But it was just another thing in all the things that were happening. Okay, so this is the great reveal.
This is a Blackwater fiasco. I've had to seal it all up so it didn't leak. I found out what the problem was. It wasn't the pumps, it was actually the battery I was using, so I had to wire it in to the proper battery,
which I'll show you now. So that cord there,
and that allowed it to start, the pump to start the work. So I've drained some of it, so this toilet shouldn't be full now.
We hope.
We hope.
And we hope it doesn't stink. Thank goodness there's no such thing as smell-o-vision.
So once I've got all this out, then I can go and completely empty the tank. I just want to make sure there's air flowing so it doesn't wreck the tank that it's in.
Do you have a good whiff there?
It's gone down. No, there's nothing bad in here, it's just a bit you can't see, but anyway, it's gone down, so now that it's air in there I can now there's air in there, I can completely drain the tank, and we're going to have to flush it with some water as well. Carolyn gets to take the rest of it off now, and you can see how she loves it. So have fun doing the top of that, darling.
Thanks.
So we got all that dumped. We dumped the grey tank and the shower tank and everything that we had to get rid of, and then we were heading up to Harvey Bay with my brother, and we were going to spend some time because Carolyn really hadn't had a holiday from the time she left because she was so stressed out. We were stressed out stuck out at where we were, so we thought we'd go up to my brother's place. We're going to spend some time with him. We had a great time, and that sort of was our issues. We had no issues. Oh, the bus. How the bus went.
Okay, so we're doing a test, and this is the first little hill that we're going to go up. When we did it, when it broke down, it would get about 1 kilometre an hour. Woohoo! Is it good?
Well,
I can hear it. Wow, what a difference. Thank you, Daimler Toowoomba. Woohoo!
the bus went brilliantly. It's
Best ever.
It's the best ever. You put your foot down and it's accelerating up
We even
hills.
overtook some cars.
Yeah, we actually overtook 3 cars, which was a surprise. It went really well up and down the hills on the freeway. We've had no issues since we've got it fixed. So it looks like that this issue we've had for a year and a half is now fixed. And
They also guarantee it.
they also guarantee it.
Labour and parts.
So for 2 years, I think they said. So
It gives you confidence.
So we're going to now just take it to Daimler. There's a Daimler place up here, and there's 2 in Brisbane. So I'm just going to use them. And by the time we've paid for all the other mechanics, we should have taken it there the first time. Probably would have been the same price as what we spent with all the others.
The other guys also said they couldn't always put the bus on their computer system because they didn't have it for that, whereas obviously Daimler do. So, you know, probably our fault, but we don't know anything about mechanical stuff. Do a bit more now.
Anyway, we shouldn't have any more issues with it. So that was good. Now, I'll quickly go over how the buses inside has gone since we've been away. Since we had the issue and restarted the all the computer side of the electrical system, we've had no issues. We've been able to use the air conditioner. We put it on basically all night, and the next day it'll charge up. The recirculating shower itself, the recirculating side of it works perfectly. I've got to get a new 0.5 micro filter for it.
Oh yes, because that was.
Because I haven't changed that at the moment, but the rest of it works fine. The issue that we are having, and I thought may be an issue, but I didn't think it'd be as much of an issue. The hot water system that I've got is a 10 litre hot water system, so once that 10 litres recycles through, I thought it might already start to warm the water up in the tank, but it's a 55 litre tank, so by the time the first one goes through, it gets cold again. So we had to stop, let the water warm back up again, run it again, and then stop and run it 3 times, and then it was lukewarmish.
It was summer, so it was okay.
It was summer, but the actual working, so we've got to replace that. Now I know where I can get an instantaneous hot water electrical hot water system. The problem being is I'm going to have to upgrade the inverter. So it'll run on a 3000 watt inverter, but it won't heat the hot water to a really hot temperature. It'll only get it to a warmer temperature, which in summer is fine, but winter it might be a bit different. So
No showers in winter.
so we're going to probably get the hot water system, see how it goes, and then if we need to upgrade the inverter down the track when we've got a bit more money, we'll upgrade it to the 5000 watt inverter. So that's what's happening with the hot water system for the recirculating shower. But everything else in the recirculating shower works great. The shower head itself, we've got a big rain
It's
water.
lovely.
It's lovely, but it's not doing what we need it to do.
It's not practical.
So we're going to take that off and just get a normal shower head that we can move around. Carolyn doesn't really like the ones that you can take off and move around
Because they fall off all the time.
So we've just
Break.
got one shower raise which we'll use, and you can move it around as needed. So I've got to change that. The next issue we had was the sink that was put in. Carolyn blames me for this, which probably is my fault.
What do you mean probably? I've tried for a long time. This is what I want. This is why I want it.
Anyway, so being stubborn, I put the one I wanted in, and I've got to do the dishes after Carolyn cooks, and it was too hard to do the dishes in this little
The sink is tiny.
tiny sink. It was because it was right up against the fridge. You were scrunched up right against the fridge trying to do it in this small sink. So that's one thing we're going to have to change as well.
And I wanted the metal draining board, mostly, well, for lots of reasons, but it's much easier. If you put something on, it gets dirty, you wipe it off. You got something hot, you can put it on it. Andrew's idea with the little sink was that we get a little mat or a draining board, which we use. The minute it got dirty, because there's not a lot of space, things do get dirty, especially when you're cooking, you then have to wash it, which means you've got nothing to put anything on.
So anyway, since we've been home, we've bought the sink. I'm basically putting that in. I've had to cut out a new hole in the bench top, which I didn't want to do because we've got the bench top really well. Anyway, I've made sure I've cut it out. There was an issue where one of the water filter tap was coming through. I couldn't cover the hole, so I've had to cut a little bit out and put it into that hole, which is fine. You can't really notice it. And then the filtration system, the actual head of the tap was coming off and loose, so I had to take it down to Bunnings. They didn't have a replacement, so I got my money back and got another one, which I'm putting in. What else have we had?
Oh, you just work out a couple of things, like
Yeah.
where we originally maybe stored stuff, we've changed that around. I originally wanted to pull out pantry, then I thought, no I don't, now I do want it
So
again.
we've got to do that.
You just got to think about, when you're in there and you're living in it, and it's different to when you're in your other kitchen, because they're different, they're set up differently, so you just try and work out what's best.
So it's a good idea if you're building your bus and it is registered, take it away every now and then for a weekend just to test it out and see how things are going, because I thought it was going to work fine, but till you start actually using it, you're not going to know that. So it's good we've taken away quite a few times in between and are starting to work out how everything works.
Fridge is fantastic.
Fridge is fantastic. The solar system works really good. We now working out how it works. Of course, we've never used solar or anything like that. We didn't know how it worked, so we're sort of learning to keep an eye on the batteries and
how much it's using and what we should be, thinking about. Do we use this or don't? Mind you, we used everything because we wanted to test everything. So, hair dryer, curling iron, coffee machine,
Kettle.
milk frother,
toaster, kettle.
induction cooktop, you name it, we used it.
And a lot of this we had while the air conditioner was on. We weren't using all of it at the same time, but the air conditioner was on for a lot of times because we wanted to make sure that we could use certain stuff.
Even while I was doing my hair with those two things, I left the aircon on.
Yeah, so the system itself is working really good. If we need to upgrade, we can add another battery if we need to. I don't think we will, but there's that possibility if we need to. And then we've got the inverter that we may need to change. But all in all, with the bus now being fixed
Yes.
and us going away, we're getting close to being nearly finished. I'm doing a lot of the wall paneling, which we'll see in the coming videos. We'll also be, I've got a couple of things left to build. Other than that, we're getting close to being finished, so we're looking forward to that sort of.
To the full-time travel, which is the whole aim.
So we thought we'd give you a rundown exactly how our last trip went, the issue with the bus, how it's all going and what we need to change. So we'll call it a video for the day. If you like our videos, make sure you hit the like button and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And as usual, I hope your bus builds are going well. And for now, from Carolyn and myself, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next video. See you guys.